Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Amanda.
You're a adult of divorce, aren't you?
Yeah, something like that. My parents split up.
Okay. Well, did your dad ever dress up like an old lady to try and convince your mom to let you be babysat at the ripe age of 20-something by him?
There was this elderly woman that came over and I caught her standing up peeing. So maybe.
Oh. Well, is your father Daniel Hillard played by Robin Williams?
I wish.
Well, clearly we're talking about Mrs. Doubtfire today.
On Can We Talk About?
We're bringing it back to 1993 with this one.
I was depressed when I saw how many years ago this was. It's the anniversary this year of this movie. Do you know what the anniversary is?
No, it's going to make me sad, isn't it?
30 years.
No, because the 90s were 10 years ago.
I know.
So the 80s were 20 years ago and the 90s were 10 years ago, and that is science. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand what happened to all the years in between, but somehow, for some reason, there's a typo in all the...
Yeah, they fucked that up.
Yeah, so...
But we are talking about the classic Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes.
Which I don't think you can talk about the 90s and movies from the 90s without talking about this one.
This is... I was trying to think back, and I was like, Robin Williams was in a lot of movies in the 90s, obviously.
Yes.
We'll get there in a second, but... I think the thing that gets me is there's a lot of actors who are in a lot of serious roles, and then they'll dabble and do one family movie. We were on the last episode we mentioned we were talking about The Rock a little bit, and he did that one Tooth Fairy movie, right, which was in the middle of the other stuff he did, right, but he's not doing full on family movies. You look at the filmography of Robin Williams. It's all over the place. There's adult movies, there's, family movies, there's, it's a mix of a lot of different things.
Because he was so damn talented. He could do all of the things.
Yeah. But I was trying to figure it out, and I'm trying to get to it right now as we're speaking, but I was trying to figure out, was this the entry into that Robin Williams does family films in the 90s thing? Or was that before? When did he really start diving into being the guy?
Well, this was 93.
Yeah.
He had already done his stints and he was very well known by this point from Mork and Mindy, which was, in freaking 78, 80s. So he already had that kind of comedic thing. But I'm not sure when that all kicked off. I know he had done Aladdin was 92.
Yes.
And he was Hook already
that's a good point.
He was in Hook, and that was 91.
Oh, okay. All right. So maybe that's, well, to bring it back because I'm trying to think of where we know him from. And I don't know if I ever want to talk about this movie, actually talk about this movie, but there's the 1980 Popeye movie, which he did while doing Mork and Mindy, which is its own.
Never saw that.
You never saw that?
No, but
it's such a weird movie.
Okay. Definitely going to watch it.
Yeah,
I am.
It's very weird.
Because, I'm a literary obsessed person, but Dead Poet Society, big movie for me.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Life-changing movie. And that was 89.
Yeah. So working my way up there, Moscow on the Hudson was the other major one of the 80s, early 80s after Mork and Mindy, and then Club Paradise, which was a comedy. And then I want to say Good Morning Vietnam was the big breakout, this guy is a star movie he did. As far as leading role kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, you you go from Good Morning Vietnam to Dead Poets Society, Cadillac Man, another adult comedy to that point, right? Awakenings, which is another it's drama. But again, it's also hard to pinpoint stuff because with Robin Williams, everything kind of feels like comedy. Then we start getting into Hook, Aladdin, Toys, which is such a weird.
Fern Gully.
Oh, I didn't realize he was in Fern Gully.
Yeah, he's the bat.
Oh, okay. So he was doing a few different.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of voice work for a bunch of different movies too. I skipped over a few, but A Wish for Wings That Work, The Timekeeper, the Fern Gully, and then Aladdin. Was that the first Fern Gully?
Yeah,
because there was a few. Okay. And then eventually we get to, Mrs. Doubtfire. And then just to kind of connect these, right after Mrs. Doubtfire, Then you start getting into, he's like in 9 Months, Jumanji, Birdcage, Jack.
I love Jack so much. Good Will Hunting, of course.
Father's Day, which was I didn't do very well, but that was another like HBO staple.
I liked that
in the
movie.
90s.
Yeah.
Deconstructing Harry, but that's like a big ensemble list. He was in Flubber, Good Will Hunting, Patch Adams. So it's weird where it's like a mix of like, he was a voice in a lot of things. Bicentennial Man by the end of the
What Dreams May Come, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know when that is. Somewhere in the 90s.
Somewhere. But anyway, to roll it back, I just wanted to kind of touch on that because like he was, I think for us growing up, he was a big presence.
Oh God, yeah.
Obviously, the voice of Aladdin being probably the biggest thing that probably connected to kids in the 90s.
And Ferngully.
Yeah. Well, and Jumanji.
Oh, Jumanji's so good.
But then, Mrs. Doubtfire's in there because it's, it's not a kid movie, but we watched it. It's a family comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so to bring it back to Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
This was, I think, a really good blend of who he was as an actor because it was comedy, but he was also able to reach into that drama acting because he had done theater. He did the show with Steve Martin in 88 or 89. Like they did like an off-Broadway 2-man production.
Huh.
And so he's done that kind of work, but this was a perfect blend of both of his skills because being able to step into that role of the actual Mrs. Doubtfire, other than being Daniel Hillard, the, depressed divorced dad, you had to play both parts. And this is both as a divorced kid.
Mm-hmm.
This was a very like depressing movie to watch.
Yeah.
Because every kid whose parents separated, especially during that time, it was like automatically you went from your dad being in the house every single day to seeing him every other weekend for 2 days and maybe once a week if the court made you go. And it was like, wow, hit fucking home. Like this came out the year that my parents divorced.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
Oof.
Like officially, but yeah.
Watching this movie too, and especially if you rewatch it, there are definitely feelings people have for the way the parents are handling this entire thing.
Yeah, not great.
Did you have opinions on that?
Well, rewatching it, because I did rewatch it 2 days ago. When were we off? It's Tuesday? Wednesday. I watched it Wednesday night.
Okay.
And I'm very lucky that even though my parents divorced, they stayed best friends. I never knew there was, like I had seen things, of course, when I was younger, but like my mom never spoke poorly about my dad. Ever.
Yeah.
And I was spoiled in that way.
Okay.
So watching this, I was like, oh my God, this is fucking awful. Like Sally Field's character. I mean, first of all, Sally Field is just so fucking amazing. Like she's just so good. But Sally Field's character, when you watch it as a kid, you're like, oh, she's so mean. How dare she go get like a new family? And then rewatching it, I'm like, I don't know. It is Pierce Brosnan. I mean.
Oh, here's the thing. I think for what it's worth, I think the flack that people throw at her character is not essentially about moving on, but it's the way she sort of handles like essentially
it's awful.
Yeah, peeling the kids away from their father.
I mean, like truly traumatic. These poor kids. There should be a sequel to this that's just about the therapy they had to go through.
By the way, did you know this was based on a book?
Yes, I did. From
You did?
it was like a British or UK novel.
This could have been a watch it or read it.
I was just going to say maybe we can cover that and watch it and read it. But I also think it's interesting that this is kind of real life Robin Williams. They made him, Daniel Hillard, a freelance voice actor living in San Francisco. Yeah. I think there might have been a little point where Robin Williams was like, this might be too close to home. This might be too close to home. But there's, it's a movie full of sadness. As funny as it is a very sad movie.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I mean. It's and by the way, it is a Chris Columbus movie.
Sure is.
We've covered a lot of Chris Columbus movies here on the podcast. But was this one, well, not his first, but like this was pretty mid of Chris Columbus'
Yeah,
career?
so he had already done whatchamacallit, Gremlins, and he directed Home Alone, and then it was this.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
This is really because his directorial credits were basically Adventures in Babysitting, Home Alone. Am I crazy? I thought he did Christmas Vacation.
I think he did. I think we talked about that in the one episode. So
it's not showing up on this list here.
Yeah.
I'll double check that because I feel like there was a story there. Yeah. So it's Adventures in Babysitting. Oh no, he was the one who was supposed to direct Christmas Vacation.
100%.
And then he was like,
yes.
I can't work with this guy.
Yeah. And back to it, this being a book.
Yeah.
The author of this book, Anne Fine, wanted this movie, wanted Warren Beatty to be Daniel Hilliard.
Yeah.
And they offered it to Tim Allen.
Uh-huh.
And he turned down the role to play both Daniel and Stu, which Pierce Brosnan ends up playing. But they offered him both roles, and he turned them both down. Yeah,
I could have seen if Devil, to play devil's advocate, I can see him playing Robin Williams' role.
I could not see him as Pierce Brosnan's role.
No.
You needed a Pierce Brosnan.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It would have been, I think the fact that it was Pierce Brosnan put something else on it, because I think if it was just like a Tim Allen or someone like that, it just would have been like generic other guy kind of thing. It wouldn't have been more to it.
One of my favorite things, since we're talking about the cast, is Harvey Fierstein. He asked for this part.
Did he really?
Yeah. So Robin Williams was doing an impression of his voice, because Robert Williams did impression of his voice.
Yeah.
And Fierstein was like, this is so good. And when he heard about Mrs. Doubtfire being made and that Robin Williams was going to be the character and the character would have a gay brother, he asked Robin Williams for the part, and Robin Williams got him the part.
Oh, wow.
Which that whole dynamic is so, I love it so much.
Yeah.
Some of the best scenes of the movie are just the two of them.
Is this correct? Is this Mara Wilson's first movie ever?
It's pre Matilda.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's her first movie. No?
I think so. And do you know who almost got it? Who was the last to be? Blake Lively.
Really?
Yes.
Little Blake Lively.
She was supposed to be Natalie, Daniel's youngest child, and she didn't get the part, and Mara Wilson got it instead. But in the audition, they said that Robin Williams' twin brother was going to come in and audition with her, so that she wouldn't get scared by the fact that it was like Robin Williams and wouldn't freak out. And when she was auditioning, I guess someone in the audition room let it slip that it actually was Robin, or like called him Robin or something. And she like panicked and cried, and it was like a whole big thing. She said it was like an absolutely awful experience, which is so funny to me. She does fine.
She's afraid of him. Yeah, it's interesting too, because I was looking through the cast in general, and the cast like just did like a little reunion thing for the 30th anniversary.
They did?
Yeah, it was like Mara Wilson, Matthew Lawrence, and Lisa Jacob, who we haven't, I mean, at least Mara Wilson, I know like we've seen her pop up in the last couple of years, not in anything necessarily. And apparently she also does a lot of podcast things.
Yeah, so does Matthew Lawrence. Him and his brother have a podcast together where they talk to young stars. Yeah,
but the other girl, I think, just sort of stopped acting. I think she sort of retired from acting towards like the end of the decade. So,
I mean, I don't blame her. She probably made enough money off these. She was in everything.
Yeah.
During the 90s. She was like just that character in everything.
Because I was like trying to remember. I was like, where else do I know her from? I think the big one was Independence Day. Right.
And wasn't she, I want to say, maybe it's not the Babysitter's Club, but it's something like the Babysitter's Club where she was one of them. So that's probably why I thought she was in everything, because it was like 9 million episodes of this.
Yeah. Was she in one of those movies where it was like an ensemble cast of a bunch of...
Is she in? She's not. I think I was thinking of Now and Then, but I don't think she's in Now and Then.
No, there's another actress that looks like her, though.
Okay.
That's maybe what you're... Yeah. Because like she has which I also think in the 90s, I used to, confuse her for that girl too. Yeah, she was in a Walk on the Moon, which was like, I think another random... yeah, it's a...
she played Princess Leia in a short film.
I did see that.
George Lucas in Love. That's fucking weird. The fuck?
And she was in The Beautician and the Beast. Remember that movie?
Clearly. Changed my life. Never saw it.
Wait, really?
I don't think I have. Hold on, let me click it.
That was like the only Fran Dresser.
Oh, that's Fran Dresser. Yes, of course I've seen that. I freaking loved The Nanny. That was a great show.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen... What's Picture Perfect? I think I saw that too.
Oh, really?
I have no idea. I clicked on it. It was an immediate regret. I don't know that movie. But yeah, she just had I think one of those faces that just felt very 90s to me. And I think I thought she was in more than she was.
Yeah, I got to figure out who is the other actress you're thinking of? Was it in Now and Then or The Babysitter's Club?
There's one of them.
Yeah, let's see.
Holy shit, this movie did great at the box office.
Did it really? Well, I mean, I think it was like the right moment for... I just think it was the right moment.
It had a $25 million budget, and it did $441.3 million at the box office.
Wow.
It was the second highest grossing film of 1993. What was number one? Do you want to guess? 1993. I'll tell you number three, so 3 and 4, so that you can think about this of when it came out. Number 3 was The Fugitive, which we should do. I love that movie. Number 4, Schindler's List.
Oh. What? Well, Jurassic Park was 94, right? That was the next
93.
Year? That was 93?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's number 1. Good job, Tom.
Because the only reason I know this because that's the movie that Steven Spielberg went back and forth, like basically making both movies at once, which is a very... I think I know the girl you were confusing her with from Now and Then. Me. Gabby Hoffman.
All right, let me...
Is that who you're thinking of? She looks very different, and she actually is still a working actress.
100%. Yes.
Is that who you were?
Yes.
Okay.
She's incredible in Girls, by the way.
Okay. Oh, she's in Girls?
Yeah, she's got like a role. I mean, she's hilarious in Girls. She's Adam's sister.
Okay.
Adam Driver's sister.
This girl is the girl from, she was in Uncle Buck. She was in Field of Dreams. She was 100%
in 100%
in Seattle.
Her with. Yeah.
Now and Then. And Volcano was the other one I know her from, which is the very random. As a New York, as a kid who grew up in New York City, and I just talked about this to someone else recently when we had the whole earthquake here, like how I was so afraid of LA with like between movies like Volcano and all the earthquake stuff, like in the 90s, earthquakes, like if you were in LA and there was an earthquake, it was the end of the world is what I was led to believe as a child.
Well, yeah, I believe it.
Now it's like, oh no, all the buildings are made to shake. We're okay. But okay. Yeah. You were confusing Gabby Hoffman.
I was. When I was just reading through like some of the little fun facts I had, one of them that I love is that this is your nerdiness.
Yeah.
Chris Columbus, when he was directing this, he used 3 cameras every single time Robin Williams had a scene because he wasn't sure what people's reactions would be. So they did 2 takes for every single scene. So they did like the scripted take, and then they did what Robin Williams would call as playing. They'd let Robin Williams play, and so he would improv. And oddly enough, Mrs. Jacob and Mrs. Sally Field, they also would improv.
Yeah.
But they were the only other 2 people that would do it. They had 3 different ratings for this movie because of his, like 3 different edits that they made. There was a PG, a PG-13, and an R. And they settled on the PG-13. But Chris Columbus always says, like, I really wish people could see the rated R because it's fantastic.
Yeah, there was a rumor at one point that there was like an NC-17 version somewhere. And I think that's where this rumor got confused, is the fact that it's like, no, there's like an R version. It's not NC-17, but like it gets, it's just, and it's all from Robin Williams's improv, which would be, especially the love for Robin Williams still today, you would think that would be like a good one for them to like just re-release
throw in a documentary or re-release. Yeah. And he tested the believability of the Mrs. Doubtfire character. Do you know how he did this? Did you remember the story?
No.
It's proven true, but he went into an adult bookstore and tried to buy a sex toy as Mrs. Doubtfire to see if they would recognize that he was Robin Williams.
Wow.
He did he got it. Yeah. They didn't recognize it. And he was like, okay, this is believable. We can do this.
All right. Fair. I guess it works.
I mean, you're also here's 2 things. Yeah. 1, you're a divorced kid. So did this movie hit home for you, or is like your divorce was different?
Well, my parents didn't get divorced until I was like, I was an adult who was married. So
that doesn't add up for you.
Didn't really I wasn't a child of divorce. I was an adult of divorce, which sounds like a IFC movie or something. Adults of divorce.
We can write it.
I think the only thing, like, it's really funny, like thinking back over the movie and like the plot, is the only thing that kind of bugs me is the fact of like basically what happens after like the prologue at the end of the movie, where like, oh, he gets to see his kids and stuff, but like they just like, I don't know, just like still like if you think about the insanity of what happened, the believability of like, oh yeah, no, like just let him have his kids. And also he has like a TV show now where he just does that. Can you imagine a world where it's like, yeah, there's this kids TV show where this man dresses up like an old lady.
Euphegenia's house. I fucking love that.
Yeah. That's the part where everything else I can believe. But like once the world accepts Robin Williams's Mrs. Doubtfire character as being okay, that's where it's like, yeah, no, just take off I don't know about that. That's where it loses me in my believability chart.
Well, I mean, also the like Miranda, aka Sally Field, just like comes to his job one day and is like, things were better when you were involved in the children's life. I'll file for joint custody. I wish that's how it worked.
Yeah.
That is not how it works.
No, it's not. Also, I mean, the fact that like, that was the thing that got to me too, is like the entire, first and foremost, you take a step back. They have 3 kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did these two get together? How did Miranda and Daniel, Sally Field and Robin Williams' characters get together in the first place? To the point where we pick up where Sally Field is where she is. And then she's like, that's what I want to divorce. And also, I don't want you to see the kids anymore.
Yeah, it's dark.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely dark.
Like, that's the way you behave when you find out that your husband's got like another family in Utah.
Yeah.
Not like, I just don't want to live with you anymore.
Yeah, there's no
intense.
subplot.
Yeah,
there's no subplot where he's like an alcoholic and, you know,
he just
like,
works.
Yeah.
And it's bad.
He loves his kids.
They have isn't it like the straw that breaks a camel's back is they get into an argument about the one kid's grades or something. And then they have a party.
Yeah, it was a party.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, and it's funny because it's like, oh, the house is a mess. Urgh. Like, that's it. I want a divorce. And I also don't want you to see the kids anymore.
And like, he's completely homeless. Like, she's just like, bye. You better find a real job. You've got 3 months or bye. You'll never see your kids again. Yeah. I mean, they really definitely capitalized on the fact that in the 90s, every parent was getting divorced. Like, that was just what happened.
Yeah.
All of our parents got married in the early 80s, late 70s. And by the 90s, we were like, fuck this. And everyone was divorcing.
But what's crazy with this entire plot is like, well, number one, if you think about how they wrote this movie too, like they still have to figure out a way. And I don't know how the book goes, but they still have to figure out a way to keep the wife likable. Because like she literally files for divorce and whatever, divorce is divorce. But then like, you know, files for sole custody of the kids. And the court puts him through like, you have to find a job and a place to live all within 3 months to even have shared custody and all this other stuff. And it's just like, man, this is like parole. Like this man is like.
That also brings me to the point of, do you remember the scene where the son catches him peeing standing up when he's supposed to be Mrs. Doubtfire? And he tells his sister, call the police. You don't know about her medical life. Like she could just not have bad knees or I don't know.
Yeah.
But just the way he's like, call the police. She has a penis. We have to call the police immediately.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, my God.
Chris, wait.
Lydia, come on. You gotta call the cops. We gotta dial 911 now.
Why?
Well, Mrs. Doubtfire. He's a she.
What?
He's half man, half woman.
What?
Yes, I swear.
What I did, what? No, just calm down.
Freeze.
Just relax, please.
He's gonna get it.
In the balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was still the
such
90s,
a hilarious thing. And also the fact that he wasn't, I mean, this would never happen today, but you know, he tries to kill Pierce Brosnan. What's his name? Stu.
Yeah.
By putting a shit ton of pepper on his food and he's allergic. And then he feels bad. So he gives him the Heimlich.
Yeah.
So you almost killed the guy.
Yeah.
That's attempted murder.
I didn't fully understand what was happening as a kid. I was just like, oh, okay. He just gave him like, you know, like spice or whatever. I didn't realize it's like, oh no, like allergic reaction kind of thing. But
it's hilarious. Yeah. And that's, I mean, a lot of it wouldn't hold up, right? But that's the beauty of the 90s, baby.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like we have, it's a feel good movie, but like, yeah, it's easy to tear apart, but also it's, I don't know. I think it's
I don't want to tear it apart though.
I know.
Because it's so special to me.
But that's the thing. What I was going to say is it's just a vehicle for for Robin Williams to be Robin Williams. Do you think if it was anyone else, we talked about like who it could have been, do you think if it was anybody else, it would have been as big of a movie as it was?
It depends, because at that time there were a couple of people that I think could have brought that.
Yeah. As much as I don't like him now, I think Tim Allen would have been fine.
Same.
Yeah, I think
I prefer him as the Santa Claus, though, which is basically what he did. Like, to me, he is the Santa Claus.
Yeah.
I couldn't have seen him here. Tim Allen was still a little bit too serious, where Robin Williams could be ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but there's a couple of the SNL guys around that time that I think could have done it. The early 90s SNL crew.
Who could have done it?
Well, we talked about him yesterday. I think Norm Macdonald could have done it. I really do. He would have been an enormous woman.
Hey, I'm the new I'm the new nanny.
I'm trying to think of who. Let's see. In the 90s, you had Mike Myers could have done it, but he wasn't as big during that time. You had Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, Will Ferrell.
I could see Dana Carvey doing it.
Same. And David Spade actually would have been a much more crass version, but he probably could have done it. He's tiny.
Yeah. It would have been a little
enormous woman. Will Ferrell's far too large.
Yeah, I want to say. I mean, there's a few people that could have done it, but
Dana Carvey could have done it, but he's a little hokey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His voices wouldn't have added. I don't know.
I still can't figure out if this movie would have, because to your point, there's a lot of improv in this movie.
So much.
And, all the things that make the character likable, like there is the scene when he's working at the TV station where, he eventually meets like the station manager or whatever, because he's sitting in the studio, like doing, pretending to talking to puppets and stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, no, but that's like the likability and like just like the little like sparkle in Robin Williams's eyes that made Robin Williams. He had like a childlike quality.
That's a good way to put it. And also, you had to be a very patient person. It took 4 hours to apply that makeup every day. Not many people are going to be willing to sit in a makeup chair for 4 hours every day to shoot a scene for 20 minutes. That takes a specific type of person willing to do that.
I have to say, though, speaking of like the fact that like, Robin Williams was very childlike and with this movie and everything else he was in the 90s, pretty much. I don't know about you, but the triggering part, and again, I wasn't a child of divorce, but there's the scene when he is having like an argument with his wife. And now he's like a real adult man arguing. And I was like, oh my God, this isn't the Robin Williams I know.
Yeah,
like,
it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like she says something. He's like, oh, you always like, I was like, oh my God, this is an adult argument. And it throws you backwards a little bit. Cause it's like, oh my God, like this is real. This is dad who is being fun and playful the entire time is like now having an adult argument with mom. Like, there's a second side to this. I remember just being a kid and being like, oh my God, that's like, this is getting real. There's been a shift in the room.
I know. And there was a little bit of drama with this movie. So Randy Mayhem Singer, who was a screenwriter, left the movie because 20th Century Fox wanted them to change the ending so that Daniel and Miranda get back together at the end of the movie.
Okay. How do you feel about that?
Awful. That's not fair. I don't think if you're going to bring that divorce subplot to this movie, something that was very prominent for the kids at that time, it shouldn't be that every little kid dreams that their parents will get back together.
Yeah.
Instead, show how hard divorce can be and how parents can get to a point where they stay divorced but are co-parenting properly. So the studio wanted them to do it. Columbus read the new happier ending, was like, no freaking way, and begged Singer to come back and change the ending to them remain divorced. Because
wait, so was that while they were filming or before they started? Like,
yeah, before they started. And Leslie Dixon, I guess, stepped in to make a new happy ending, and Chris Columbus is like, I can't make that movie. And so they begged Singer to come back and change it, because truly that would have been, I don't know, kind of fucked up to go through that whole. Does it happen? Sure, it happens. But that's like 1% of the time. And there's too many happy ending type movies like that where like this was more real life. Take the grown man becoming an old lady take that off the table. But the way that the divorce ends up, that's more accurate to real life.
Yeah, but I think that's, and again, I didn't go through this as a kid, but so it's weird for me to even like, it's hard for me to put myself in that place, but yeah, it's because I remember the end of the movie feeling like it wasn't like this is a great ending. Like there was still a little bit of like, it was too real life where it's like things have changed now. They're not worse. They're not better. They're just different.
Yeah.
And now like, he's doing his thing, and that's the other thing too, is like, he has all the prosthetics and he's dressing up like Mrs. Doubtfire to do a TV show. And then part of my brain is like, but does he want to do it like that? Wouldn't he rather just be himself? Like there's a part of me in my brain where I'm just like, why does it have to be this way? Like, why do they have to keep Mrs. Doubtfire around when, like, I don't know. It felt uneasy. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. Because like, I guess he gets to see his kids and like they've reconciled, but not reconciled their marriage. They've just, come to terms. Maybe that's a better way of saying it.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a warm, fuzzy, happy ending. So I get that.
Yeah, 100%. It's not warm and fuzzy, but it's as warm and fuzzy as that ending could have been if they stuck to like a real life script. And they recognize that. And that's why they decided to go back. They're like, we can't sell this.
Yeah.
And one of the saddest facts that I have.
Oh, no.
So they started talking about a sequel in 2001.
Oh, God.
And they were like, we're not going to do it until we find the right person to do it.
Okay.
And they kind of left it all up to Robin Williams. So in 2014, Robin Williams gave David Berenbaum, who wrote Elf, the permission to start with a sequel.
Okay.
And they scratched it because he passed.
Oh.
So, like we could have gotten it, but instead we got the musical.
So this is my life. Isn't this just great? Isn't this just swell? What the hell?
Lydia, you're not supposed to say that word. It's a grown-up word.
Yeah? Well, the grown-ups aren't supposed to act like children, so the way I see it, all bets are off.
Maybe it's me, maybe I'm to blame. If I hadn't had a party, if my grades weren't lame, if it weren't for me, would they still be together?
What if it's me who made this mess? I should have smiled a lot more and cried a little less. Am I the reason why they split forever?
Which I'm happy. I've heard good things about the musical. Have you?
I've heard great things about it. I have not seen it, but I've heard it's incredible.
Okay.
I think people go into that too with it's nostalgic for some people, but also I've heard it's like pretty hilarious. Like they aired more on the comedy side than like the heartbreaking side. And it's, it's still it's won a Tony. It's or 2-time Tony nominee. It's been nominated twice. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
But it's, it's one of those things that it's still on Broadway right now. It's doing well in New York and London.
Yeah.
So haven't seen it. I would see it. It's not one of those things where I'm like, oh God, why'd they do that?
Yeah.
Because at this point, I don't think there ever will be a sequel without Robin Williams. And I'm glad that they aren't trying to reprise it without him. But that feels like a safe next step without, like Robin Williams would not ever have been playing Mrs. Doubtfire on Broadway.
Looking at this, is there a I mean, they've done it to at least one, but even there, they sort of changed it up. But like, is there a Robin Williams movie that you would be okay with them remaking without Robin Williams?
Without Robin Williams? Yeah,
like looking and specifically like the kid movies. So like, all right, looking at the list, right? You have Hook.
Yes, Hook. We've talked about this actually. I would. Nope, just kidding. That was the podcast with your wife. But I would allow them to remake Hook because there is a different world. But like the guy that plays Rufio in Hook, like they actually just had a reunion for Hook too, not too long ago. And they said that they would redo it where the Lost Boys are now adults because in the book, the real Peter Pan book, some of the Lost Boys go back and like live and are adopted by Wendy's parents. So if they kind of took that as like, now they're adults,
Yeah.
they're all adults, and the Lost Boys, I like the idea of the Lost Boys getting together with like a picture of Peter up on the wall, because Peter went back to, if you followed the book, which Hook kind of does more than like the Disney Peter Pan.
Does it really?
A little bit more. Yeah. Not entirely, but like some of the characters remain the same a little bit. But if you went back to, the boys have now entered the real world, so they're growing up. They're now adults. A lot of the Lost Boys are still alive, and have them as adults, but all the Lost Boys get together like once a year and go back to Neverland. And their kids are coming up and they're sharing this with their children, and they take their kids to Neverland. I could get behind that.
Well, I feel like there's a way to connect the dots to like, you know, the world that was Robin Williams too. Like what if it was
Peter's died at this point, right? So they probably have like a, you know, in Peter's memory every year we go back to Neverland.
Or like,
and
I was going to say, like, what if he opened up like a, you know, because he was an attorney, right? He was a lawyer. What if he opened like an orphanage?
Oh, the Lost Boys.
Peter Panning.
Orphanage. Stop! I'll cry. I can't handle that right now.
The idea of it just made you cry.
I'll cry.
But wait, let me go through. All right, so
Okay.
and it's kind of funny because they have done this to other roles he's done, right? Like they redid Jumanji, but again, they didn't like redo it with replacing his character or anything. They just redid Jumanji and did a whole new spin
Your
on it.
wife, by the way, refuses to do Jumanji on our other podcast, so maybe we could do
Why?
it on ours. She said she hated
Why?
the movie. Dale,
The original?
if you're listening, she said she hated it because it is a book.
Oh man.
So maybe we could do all the Jumanjis, and then you can make fun of The Rock.
But I think you guys should do a movie that she hates. I didn't know it was a book. There was Toys, which no one's ever going to redo that movie. They're glad they got one out. And that wasn't even a kid's movie. That was another weird one. I've talked about Toys on this podcast
Yes, you
before. I still think it's a weird movie that lives in like some like in between.
It's an occultosphere. Like the people that love it, and everybody else is like, what the fuck was that?
In that vein, I think there are a bunch of 90s, especially Robin Williams movies that fall into that camp of being where it's like, yeah, you and I might have loved it growing up because it was Robin Williams, and we had a very different feeling for these movies, like Jack, right? Which people dump on Jack all the time.
I love Jack.
Francis Ford Coppola movie, which, did you know that?
No, I did not know that. Like, that is a beloved movie to me in my childhood.
However,
oh no,
I remember he sort of like falls in love with his teacher. He like has like a little bit like a crush on his teacher.
Sure
which
does.
is
Sure
Jennifer
does.
Lopez.
Yeah.
I had a crush on his mom, which was Diane Lane.
I mean, I think everyone would pick. Now that we know what we know about J-Lo.
Yeah.
Like, we're all going Diane Lane.
Diane Lane all the way. I mean, Bill Cosby's also in that movie, so maybe just not like maybe we need to redo that movie.
Okay.
But I'm trying to think. I mean, there was 9 months. I thought that was a good movie.
I liked that
9
movie.
months. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he played like the over the top. There's another Chris Columbus movie, but he played the over the top doctor.
Yes. Isn't Patch Adams a book?
I think so. Yes, that sounds about right. Yeah. And another movie that he doesn't get a lot of credit for, but was great, was The Birdcage.
Oh my god!
I feel like it's another movie that's flown
is
under the radar.
just perfection. I just love that movie.
I just love how he brought back his like 80s mustache for that movie.
Such a good movie.
Love the cast from that movie. Everyone's great.
They could redo that one properly.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the thing is especially now, because the entire shtick of the Birdcage, right, is their son is bringing home his fiance's like parents, and they're both like super like I think he's a senator. He's like a Republican senator who is like very buttoned up and, you know,
and this is a remake. The Birdcage is a remake of a French piece called La Cage à Folie. So that's already a remake, but I think we could redo that one.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good one.
Maybe it's a little triggering right now.
No, I bet. But you know what's funny is because the entire shtick is they're trying to cover up the fact they're trying to cover up who they are to
They own a
appease
gay
this,
cabaret. It's just
Yeah.
like so perfect.
yeah, and their houseboy.
Yes.
But yeah, no, you know what's funny is I feel like that's a movie that could absolutely get redone today, and it would be cool to see it get redone. I'd be okay with that.
Who would we make the who would we
our,
cast in this?
fantasy
This is our
casting?
favorite. Is our favorite thing to do, guys. Well, Nathan
Okay.
Lane is still around, and so is Hank Azaria. Can they be
Yeah.
the grandparents, or they should just have cameos? I think they should have cameos.
Yeah, just cameos.
Like they should be at the bar having cocktails,
Yeah,
because you can't like. If they did remake this, they would have to probably get an okay for people like them.
the energy that Robin Williams and Nathan Lane have in that movie is very close to me, and like to the point of like, you know where I'm going.
Don't
with
touch it. Yeah, don't touch it.
What?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying they can't. Nobody can touch that energy.
Okay.
Yes.
I was gonna say the energy. It seems like when they were making the TV show Modern Family, like Cam and Mitch, it's like that was the basis for the characters, was like something out of that. They play it pretty well. Yeah, I mean, I have to fantasy cast that, and
That's
that's
hard
why,
for me.
well, and the reason I bring it up too is because part of it's hard for me to like think, like, who else can I think of, because I'm so pulled towards Mitch and Cam from Modern Family.
And it's hard because now you'd want to recast it with like a super hot dudes to be the gay couple, but they're not. They're like
yeah, because they're just
doughy queens.
yeah.
They
Well,
have to be.
well, how about this? Who would play Gene Hackman's character and Diane Wiest?
Oh, well, that's a lot easier to do.
Who plays the conservatives?
Oh, Gene Hackman should be probably, because I just told you I'm binge watching Grey's Anatomy. What's his name that plays Derek Shepherd?
Is that Patrick Dempsey?
Patrick Dempsey would be a good Senator Keeley. He just has a Republican senator face.
Oh, what about the guy?
cheekbones.
What's that other show that was from the Scandal? What was the president from that show?
I don't know. I never watched it.
Oh my god! Wait, I gotta find that one, because he has that like angry face. He was in Tony Goldwyn.
Oh yeah, he's a good one too.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know who I wish would have been in the original?
Oh.
Like probably can't be in this now because he's aged out. But Jeff
Oh, no.
Goldblum.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jeff Goldblum. Where
No,
were you?
you know what? Wait a second. No. I don't think so. Have you seen him lately?
Oh, God, he's so beautiful. I love him so much.
I could see him playing Robin Williams' character.
Ooh, Armand.
Yeah.
Armand.
Just-
Okay, I love Jeff Goldblum so much.
Yeah. Well, I think he's sort of, he has this like androgynous.
Yes.
That I can't say that word, but I think he has that kind of vibe. So yeah, like the idea of him playing a character that's actually gay but trying to pretend he's straight. That's a good one. And then they just got to find someone like within the same age range ish of him.
Bryan Cranston.
I like this
Bryan
recasting
Cranston.
game.
This is not my choice, by the way. This is a.
Oh no.
This is I just typed in who could you recast in the Birdcage today, and someone has him as the Robin Williams character because he does have such a weird comedy vibe that he could pull it forward. And somebody else has Courtney B. Vance as the Nathan Lane character.
Courtney B. Vance. How do I know Courtney B. Vance? Oh, he's from, what is he from?
He's from The People versus OJ.
Yeah, I keep seeing TikToks with him from, I think it's 61st Street. I think that's the movie.
Yeah.
It was in, I think it was a series, right? Every time I see that, I'm like, it looks like a really good.
Okay, this is a really good one.
Okay.
Really good one. Laura Linney as Louise, as the Diane Wiest character. Laura Linney. Ozark.
Yeah, I can see her playing that because she can be reserved and then just like, play the crazy over the top, reactionary. Who plays? I can see Bryan Cranston playing the Gene Hackman character more than I can see.
Oh, I could see that too, actually.
Yeah, because his comedy is more like it's
David Cross. We just love David Cross for
I know we
everything.
love David Cross,
but I could see him as the Nathan Lane character, or since we're in that same universe right now, No, he wouldn't really work.
Who are you thinking?
You know who I'm thinking.
No, I don't. I don't know who you're thinking. Oh, wait, from that same universe, like Bob Odenkirk?
Actually, Bob Odenkirk is not who I was thinking, but that's pretty good.
Bob Odenkirk could play.
I was going to go Will Arnett.
Will Arnett could play either character.
Yeah. Because he has such a silly comedic.
Who plays Hank Azaria's character?
David Cross.
Yeah, I had.
Yeah, David Cross or Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, he would do it.
He would be pretty
and
good.
I could see that. Okay, that works. All right, we're almost full with casting. Then who plays who? Well, we haven't finished the other ones, but we're having a hard time. So who plays their son and the daughter?
Their son, I think it should be the guy from, oh God, with Mandy Moore and Milo Ventimiglia.
This Is Us.
This Is Us. Their son from This Is Us, Justin Hartley. He could be the son. He looks like a beautiful man that could have two incredibly hot gay dads. Do you know what I'm saying? Like well-dressed, like, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the girl has to be, if we have Laura Linney, who's blonde, so the daughter's got to be a blonde girl.
I mean, it was Callista Flockhart in the original, yeah.
What about Blake Lively? We already talked about her.
It's too small of a role for her. It's like a secondary supporting role.
Okay, so we need a blonde actress who's about that age. Oh, what's her name from Euphoria? You know, Boobs McGee.
Sydney Sweeney.
Yes, she could totally be. She could totally have Republican dads. A Republican dad who's a senator. Do you know what I mean?
Real life.
Yeah.
No, but like I think it's too big. It's too small of a role for her.
But she just did that little rom-com that didn't do too well. I think she might be happy to be proud of be in a not so serious role.
Yeah, no, I think she's fine doing comedy, but like, I'm trying to think, come on, who else is small enough? I don't know young Hollywood as much as I used to anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of hard for me too. We're so old. There was another one that we tried to do like this and we didn't do so hot. What about Lily Reinhart?
Lily Reinhart, where do I know her from?
That show that just, it was on the CW. She played Betty Cooper.
Oh, Riverdale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, all right, so she's in the right, like, a salary range for this role. Like someone where it's like, oh, I know them. They're kind of still coming up.
I was going to say Elle Fanning, but I think she's gotten too big.
Also from that same show, but she's done a few more like movies and other things that I've seen her in. I think she's also done comedy. Is Camila Mendes?
Oh yeah, she's good. She's very good.
Yeah, she's not a blonde, but
it's okay.
I can see her playing. Yeah. Who else can we? But we still have to figure out who the main characters are.
I thought we figured that out. I thought we did Jeff Goldblum and Will Arnett.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going. But like, well, Will Arnett can play either.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can see now. The more I'm taking a step back, yeah.
Sean Hayes would be incredible.
Sean Hayes as Albert, Nathan Lane's character.
Yeah,
okay, good.
Yeah.
And Jeff Goldblum as
yes. Okay. Are you guys listening? Sean, if you're listening, you're
Hollywood,
welcome.
make it happen. Do it. We've done it.
Wonderful. You're welcome, everyone. So obviously that has everything to do with Mrs. Doubtfire. So glad we did that.
Yeah.
Katie, you're welcome. Katie, you're welcome, Katie. That's our editor, guys, who is probably going to have to deal with all of that.
That's fine. It's fun. It's a fun ride.
It is a fun ride.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I will just end this by saying that this is one of those movies. Have you shown this to your son?
I haven't actually. I was like trying to see if I can watch it with him before.
But every time we think he would like something, he hates it. So
yeah,
every time.
What was in that? What did he hate?
Well, he wasn't super pumped about Monster Squad.
Yeah.
He wasn't super pumped about. There was another. Was it Weird Science? No, there was another 80s. Adventures of Babysitting.
Adventures in Babysitting. Yeah,
wasn't super pumped about that. Maybe they just don't think things are as cool now because they grew up with Pixar. They're like, this is so shitty.
Yeah, but look, have you seen Pixar lately? Oh my God.
I like all things.
I know. You like everything. I watch
all the Pixar shorts with my niece. She always calls them, she says, this one's short. You want to watch a short one? So we watch a lot of those. We just watched one about a bird called Piper that made me cry, and it was adorable.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I think this could hold up. I'd be interested to see what he thought about this.
Yeah, I'll take.
Let's just have a separate segment on Can We Talk About?
Yeah.
Wesley Reacts. And we'll just record little clips of what he thinks of it and play it at the end. All these 90s movies that we force him to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I still every once in a while, I'm like, oh, I found another one. Oh, I found another one. Like always trying to find like the movies we grew up with that would still hit for his.
What about Gremlins? We talked about that today.
Yeah, he does like he's a big fan of like scary movies.
Okay, so I think he'd like Gremlins. Yeah. Has he done E.T. yet? Have we gone down that road?
He has done E.T. And then that was where like he was a little bit younger, and he got to the point where he was like, after E.T. dies.
That's really sad. Yeah,
he was like, I'm gonna go to bed now, and he thought it was the end of the movie. And I was like, no, wait, Wes, you should come back and finish watching the movie. Just hang in there a couple more minutes, and it comes back. It's all okay.
Okay, good.
But there, you know what it is? There's other movies from that era that like disappeared, like Curly Sue. Remember Curly Sue?
Do I remember Curly Sue? Of course I remember Curly Sue.
But there's like ones like that where I'm like, I don't know if it still hits at all.
That's how I feel about, we talked about her, the girl, what's her name? The plays the little girl. She's in Matilda. Moira Wilson.
Yeah.
Has he done Matilda? That to me is a book.
Oh, he loves Matilda. He loves all the variations of Matilda. In fact, actually, they redid. Did
he see the musical?
He did. He actually likes the original non-musical better, which I'm like, good for him.
Yeah, boy. And I feel that way pretty intensely about those kinds of movies too.
Yeah,
they're just so good.
Yeah.
All right, we should do Matilda. I love Matilda.
Yeah, we'll do it at some point.
After we do Jack. Force you to. I have things I'm forcing him to do, guys, like Fleabag, Schitt's Creek. He has no choice. Yeah. He has to get those done this year.
I know. My whole vacation is going to be taken up by just doing those, just watching those movies, binge watching them. But
it'll take you 3 seconds to rewatch Fleabag. It's only 2 seasons.
Yeah, I started watching Fleabag, I think, because it was on a
plane, right?
In-flight entertainment system on Delta. So
beautiful.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to watch that next to somebody that I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't
quite
know.
Honest with you. Yeah,
I didn't know any better.
Yeah,
and then I scenes come up, and I react like I'm like a 10-year-old watching with my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's how I would react to.
Yeah, it's worth finishing.
Well, if
watching
you haven't revisited Mrs. Doubtfire in a while, rewatch it.
Yeah,
it just kind of scratches that 90s itch, makes you feel like a little kid again. All the warm and fuzzies.
Yeah,
and cries if you're a divorced kid.
Still a good movie.
Still a great
movie. It's just a chance to watch Robin Williams be Robin Williams
which I'll take any day.
Yeah. So.
Any day. Have we done Good Will Hunting?
We have not. No.
Can we? Do you like that movie?
Yeah, I do.
I do.
You know what's funny? In the Matt Damon, Ben Affleck realm of Boston movies, I rewatched The Town last weekend.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it really still holds up. It's
a great movie. We should do that. That's a really good movie.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot.
I think I loved Good Will Hunting, but I love the story behind Good Will Hunting just as much as I love Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
So that would be a good episode.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's go cry about Robin Williams not being here anymore. His stand-up right now, could you imagine?
No. Can I tell you one more thing?
Yes.
Do you know where I was when he passed, which was kind of crazy?
Where?
I went to a private screening. I was invited by the studio, by Fox, to go see a private screening of Let's Be Cops. You remember that movie?
Yeah, of course I do.
With some folks from
with
New
my
Girl.
Boy. Yeah.
And we were in the screening, and like they're very, Fox is very strict. They're like, and it was like a small little screening room. It was at Fox's building in New York City. And I'll never forget, we had our phones off. Everyone had to like turn everything off. We watched the movie. And it was like me and a bunch of like other like critics, like it was like the guy from like New York, ABC 7 New York, who's like goes on TV. He's like, and you see him in like Taxi TV being like, this movie was, whatever. Yeah. My best impression. And I'll never forget, the credits roll and like the lights come up and everyone all of a sudden picks up their phones and everyone starts going, because they're all reporters and they're all in entertainment reporters. Yep. And all of a sudden everyone starts like funneling out and there's like this weird like angst everyone has where like it's like, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And all of a sudden I look at it and it's like, yeah, Robin Williams passed away.
Oh,
And then, yeah, I went back to, this is when I worked in radio. I went back to the office like 2 blocks away, and everyone's just running around trying to like put together like in memoriam segments and announcements and stuff. And so, but it was like weird, like out of all places I was like in the room with like
people
reporters
whose
from Entertainment
jobs depend
Weekly.
on this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. People from the entertainment industry.
Were they like, I just sat through that fucking movie and now I could have been breaking this story? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, I like that movie.
Me
it's
too.
fine.
I love buddy cop movies. They're like such a special genre to me. I love buddy cop movies.
Yeah.
That's like everybody hated Chips when Dax Shepard redid it.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. It was awful, but it's again,
it's
buddy
harmless.
cop movie. I love it.
You know what? That's one thing I miss about Fox having their studio is like they just used to make these like harmless movies that were just
for
like
the fun
they're not great, but
existing.
whatever. Yeah. They'd end up on DVD on TV on FX, like years later, like, and they did like the SWAT remake and stuff like that. It's just like there was like a certain like aesthetic to like the 20th Century Fox action comedy movies. So
I agree.
But anyway, all right. So rest in peace, Robin Williams.
All right, rest in peace, Robin Williams, and hopefully by the time we come back, Tom will have watched Fleabag.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, sure.
It's on my list.
All right. You should watch this on vacation. You're about to go on vacation. This is a great, everybody can watch it.
I'm going to watch it on the plane next to my family. Is that a good idea?
That's normal. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay. All right, guys. Bye.
Yep. Bye.
You deserve a tech career you love, coworkers you can count on, innovation you're proud to build. If you're ready to change the world through technology, explore a career at Cox. Make a real impact in engineering, development, cybersecurity, and more, all while experiencing work-life balance, flexible work options, and great benefits. Visit cox.career/tech to find a job you love today. That's cox.career/tech.